Here's a Condition Harbinger ranked match. I would say that most people are playing Power right now on Harbinger, but the Condition build is it's pretty nice too, and I'll talk about the differences between them in a bit. But essentially this build, you're relying on the Quickness and Shroud, and you're going to get pretty much Burn and Torment on your auto attack, and your auto attacks, you can spam them out very fast. So you pretty much just do that in Shroud. You use the 2 and the 1. And the 2 is going to give Corrupt, so it's usually nice to use that as well. And then, yeah, use the 3 and the 4 for mobility mostly, because those are more of the power abilities. So yeah, you can see I'm just spamming conditions here, and people can cleanse them, but they pile up very quickly. I get jumped by, I think, the Vindicator and the Bladesworn there, so I poured out. And mostly your survival, because you only have 1 health bar, is from the the utility skills, the Worm and the Spectral Walk, and then you got to use your Shroud skills for mobility. So we get the down here, and their Tempest is going for the res. I go for a stun, and then I Pistol 2, which is a pretty good ability too. It's pretty bursty, gives out 6 Torment. But I change target and swap to the Bladesworn here. You do want to chase kills with this build though, because it is sort of like a DPS slash roamer, because you have the ability to move pretty fast. It's not like a normal Necro build when, a Necro walks in the fight and then everyone kind of plays around the Necro by either kiting them or just focusing them depending on the situation. But this build has access to quite a bit of mobility, and I'm using Speed of Shadows, which is essentially going to allow you to maintain that level of mobility, because it removes all movement inhibiting conditions when you go in Shroud, and you get Swiftness, which helps you to get that permanent Swiftness uptime. So I think that's really important. You can go for the unblockable staff trait, but I feel like you don't need the extra Shroud, right? Because Harbinger has plenty of Shroud, because you just get Shroud by going in Shroud, and you're not using it as a life health bar. It's just just a meter that goes down. So you don't really need more Shroud generation. And if you did want the unblockable marks in for staff, which, staff is a good weapon, but it doesn't need to be unblockable necessarily. So it's your choice, but I like the Speed of Shadows for the mobility, because it helps you to play the build a little bit more effectively. And so you've got the elixirs here as well. The elixir gives you quite a bit of sustain, because it's a 20-second heal skill and gives you like 7k healing. It's pretty nice. And then you've got Condi Cleanse and Boon Corrupt on the Elixir of Bliss, I believe it is. The white elixir. So you got a decent amount of sustain on this build, even though it's a Curse's Soul Reaping build. Normally on like Scourge, you'd need a support, a dedicated support, but you use mobility instead, which is nice. And compare this to like Core Necro, I would say that Core Necro is probably a lot better in team fights. This is more of like a roamer, obviously, but yeah, the Core Necro has unblockable on the 2 skill, and then it has like wider AoEs on its damage, and this is more single target, and then it can get countered by Projectile Reflect, right? Because a lot of the skills on this build, Pistol 2 is projectile, even though they pierce. And then all the Shroud 1 and 2, which is your main damage, they're giving projectiles as well. So you're kind of countered by projectiles. And with the power build, you rely more on the 3 and the 4 to do damage, which aren't projectiles. So it's a little bit more workable in some situations. And then the power build also has access to the stability trait, which synergizes with the ferocity they gain. So it's easier to go for that stability, and that's a little bit more forgiving. But in this team fight, we are focusing the target, and I'm just going to spam Shroud 1 on the target here and ramp up my Condis very quickly. And yeah, so we were comparing between Power Harbinger and Condi Core Necro. The Condi Core Necro is a lot more tanky, but it's easier for you to play around a Condi Core Necro, because you can just run away from it, whereas you can't really run away from this as easily, and you can't really chase this as easily, though Port's classes, they're going to be able to chase it still. But yeah, so we're just going to chase this kill here, their Harbinger and their Vindicator are kiting, but our team is at far, so I'm just going to rotate in. I'm going to use Shroud here to, well, I just got immobilized after going in Shroud, which is unfortunate because I would have cleansed the immobilize after, but yeah, their Bladesworn is trying to chase me here, and they're shooting their gun saber at me. The Tempest is also on me, and the Harbinger is also on me. So I have a lot on me, but as you can see, the mobility is there for me to disengage, and I can survive being chased by this many players. So that's, I mean, that's the main benefit of this build is the mobility. So I'm going to disengage here, and the Necro is actually chasing pretty hard. I wait till their stability goes out, and then I land my Pistol 3, use my Warhorn 4 to get a Daze as well, and they're actually backing off. I see, yeah, is that the Tempest is there. I don't want to push into the Necro while their Tempest is there because I can get 1v2'd. I'm a little bit low on cooldowns. Now I can push into the Bell with my team, which is good, and we'll do that. I'm going to put my Worm down first because I might need to get out of there. You know, I've only got 1 health bar. And unfortunately, I got interrupted there trying to use my Shroud 5, which is actually a pretty strong skill. It does an AoE around you that like floats for a really long time. So yeah, it's pretty good. You want to land that, and the trade-off to that is you got to kind of be near the enemy to do that. So I'm going to use it here, but they get knocked out. My Ellie does land a pretty decent pull there, but we don't get too much done out of that because I just left Shroud. And we're going to focus their Tempest here because the Tempest is, yeah, we see that they're Earth. They have a lot of protection uptime, and they're Stoneheart. So it's really my job as a Condi class to focus an Earth Tempest. So we're trying to focus that, but they're invulnerable. They've got stability, and I can't fear them. And it looks like they're actually running Signet of Restoration as well, so it's more of a selfish Tempest build. I don't really know what they're running, but I don't get the kill on the Bladesworn there. Actually, they do get it, but I'm getting chased by their Harbinger, and I don't want to get recasted on by that. So I do kite out, but they get the revive on the Bladesworn, and I think our team actually is getting the kill on the Vindicator. Now their Tempest is actually trying to chase me off the node, and that's kind of fine with me because I need to reset anyways, and we're pulling their support out of the team fight. Or I don't know, is this a support or is this a 1v1er? Can't really tell. I get a nice Shroud 2, which will corrupt the stability from their overload, but yeah, they seem to be pretty tanky here, so we're gonna get the decap anyways, and I use my Warhorn 4 to interrupt their overload. Now they're about to leave invulnerable, so I precasted my Shroud 2 there, but I didn't get the corrupt there that time. I cleansed conditions with my Elixir of Bliss, and that's also a corrupt as well. And now I'm going to use my Shroud 2, but they have, yeah, they're also using the Shout there that gives the projectile reflex. So they have a lot of projectile reflex on this build, especially as an Earth Tempest. So it's not the best matchup for me. You know, if I was power, this would, well, if I was power, then they would have Stoneheart. But yeah, we can still get the kill here because they're, I don't know what they're running, but I'm gonna try to corrupt their stability there with my, yeah, I didn't land the Elixir of Bliss, which would have corrupted their stability there. I get a nice Shroud 2 there, which gives them a bunch of conditions from the corrupts, and I'm gonna land my big float there. They go invulnerable though, so yeah, this is just like a tanky Tempest build. And in this time, my team is actually winning the map, so this is actually fine. But normally I wouldn't want to be in this situation, but they kind of just chased me out of the team fight, so it's like, well, I guess I could leave and give up the node. But yeah, my support Tempest comes in and heals me, so we're good to just play aggressively there. But my team is now lacking our Tempest in the fight, so that's not the best. I go for the res on the Ranger there because they can self-res, but yeah, I'm getting focused by 2 Bladesworns, so that's really dangerous. I'm going to use some Condis here, try to Yeah, I dazed the burst there from the Bladesworn, but it's very dangerous. I'm getting Dragon Slashed all over the place, and I have to disengage again. I'm going to try to juke with my Spectral Walk, and the heal is coming up, but I get projectiled by the Bladesworn before I'm able to get it off, so that's unfortunate. But what is fortunate is that their team is a little bit tunnel visioning on the Bell, which is good for us. I mean, their Tempest was tunnel visioning me as well out of the Bell, but then I think they tunnel visioned on the Bell, so we capped the sides, and that worked out for us because we didn't actually wipe at the Bell. So I'm gonna respawn and head back into the Bell. I don't want to full cap home because I'm a roamer and I can't defend that as well. And we remember what happened in the first 1v1. That wasn't a good situation for me. So I'm gonna try to help my Berserker here to peel them out. I get a really good corrupt on the stability there, which gives the fear. And yeah, the Tempest is really pressured here. So we're gonna try to go for the kill. They evade though, and I'm trying to land my corrupts, but they have a lot of cleanse apparently. And my teammates are going down on the Bell objective, but to be honest, the Bell is irrelevant at this point. We can win with just holding far, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go into far. I throw my elixir out, and I use my Shroud 2, which corrupts quite a bit of conditions, and they're out of their cooldown, so we're gonna get the kill there. And yeah, we're gonna wipe on Bell and lose Bell, but it's fine because we've got the caps. So that's kind of how the Harbinger Condi build works. You want to be kiting using your range more so to survive, and your Shroud skills to get positioning, and then you want to play aggressively when you've got that range and chase targets with your team. So if you do like this video, then like it and subscribe. If you want to see any other PvP builds, then you can check out the links below at guildgen.com. And of course, not all of these builds are hyper meta. I'm not playing Vindicator, but not all of the builds have to be meta. Some of them are just fun, and I think this one's pretty fun. I think Harbinger was a good spec. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys next time.